Hello, I'm Jason Blum from Blumhouse, and I'm the producer of The Exorcist Believer.
And I'm David Gordon Green, the director of Exorcist Believer.
We know that there are hundreds of stories about evil presences and demonic possessions beyond The Exorcist Believer, and we want to hear your stories.
This is why we asked Mexico fans to share some of their most terrifying stories, and we're going to read some of them today. My mom told me that one day when she was a child, she went to the kitchen to get a glass of water, and she saw how the cabinet doors opened abruptly as a woman came out wearing a black dress and a veil that covered her face, whispering to her, "I am here. I am here." My mother lost the ability to speak, and her hair began to fall out. After a few days, my grandmother performed a cleansing on her, arguing the devil was feeding on my mom. Everything went back to normal after that.
Wow, so that's also a kind of possession, right?
Right, with the visual is what is fascinating to me, is that a woman comes out wearing a black dress and a veil covering her face.
What does that
and whispering
symbolize?
something that's manifesting a real entity that would be pretty freaky.
Yeah, that would be super scary.
Yeah.
Is that a common thing, to be in a black dress and a black veil?
I don't know what that represents, but it sounds a little disturbing. So I'm
does
glad
sound
that.
I'm glad they're okay.
Luckily, the grandmother had experience in performing cleansing rituals so that they could stabilize that living environment.
They would be okay, yeah. A priest from my community told me the story of a convent mother superior who experienced demonic possession. She showed violent behavior, anorexia, and several suicide attempts, which led to the intervention of religious specialists. It turns out that she had 18 unholy covenants. After multiple exorcisms and the destruction of the demonic covenants, the superior finally recovered, and according to the priests, the demons were expelled. The superior continued with medical care and rehabilitation and progressively regained her sanity. Wow, that's an insane story.
Yeah, so I mean, it takes it not just like the Ouija board fun and game of curiosity and communicating with spirits, but it also is when you have these spiritual advisors that are maybe not equipped or not experienced, but they're stepping into a world that then they're able to conjure, and these spirits leap into them and they don't have the armor to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Someone in that spiritual community being possessed is really upsetting.
Yeah, I guess there are levels of possession, so it's harder. It's certain times you can exorcise the devil relatively easily, and then other times it's much harder. Is that right?
But the fun, fascinating conversation of all of it is when do you get the medical perspective or the psychological perspective?
Yeah, right.
And then when do you just embrace the spiritual possibilities of this stuff, which it's all infinite, so.
And that's what the movie's about, too.
That's what the movie's about. Long ago, my uncle experienced a period of strange behaviors, including faints, violent attitudes, unnatural strength, red eyes, and a dry mouth. We soon discovered that he praised the Holy Death, and his wife used to do witchcraft. My uncle was hospitalized, and when he was sent home, I had to take care of him for 4 years. During that time, we experienced paranormal things, including strange noises and shadows. I remember once a nurse said that there was a man sitting talking to my uncle, but there was no one really there. My uncle passed away, but strange things kept happening until today. We were never able to confirm if he made a pact or his wife did some witchcraft, but something definitely happened in that house.
That's a crazy story, too. I was in high school waiting for my mom's arrival, but she didn't show up. When I got home, I found my mother full of distress as my aunt was screaming and thrashing everything around, seemingly possessed by something. After trying to calm her for a while, she was rushed to the hospital, where doctors diagnosed her with only a concussion. Strangely, there were no visible bruises, blood, or signs of any underlying mental illness. When she regained consciousness, she explained that she had been experimenting with a Ouija board for a while, attempting to communicate with my late cousin. Now, this would be a possession.
Yeah, that would be a possession. And much like Reagan in the original Exorcist, that's alluded to her communicating with Captain Howdy in the Ouija board experience. So yeah, be careful when you get your Ouija out. Don't miss The Exorcist Believer, only in cinemas.
Body in the blood? Body in the blood? Catherine. Body in the blood. The body in the blood. and the blood! Catherine! The body and the blood! The body and the blood!
El Exorcista. Creyentes. Solo en cines.